statue. I know for some of you it's been very hard to turn up here today because vitiligo is a topic that isn't very spoken about in the Indian media or just generally in public. So I know for some of you it's been a big step coming here, so I appreciate that. So I think for that reason you all deserve a round of applause for being here. So imagine looking in the mirror and not liking what you see. Imagine looking down at your body and seeing things that you don't like. That used to be me. For 14 years, I've battled and I've struggled with vitiligo. And today I'm here in front of you, fully exposed. In January 2018, I chose to come out and speak about my challenges with vitiligo. It hasn't been an easy decision, but I knew how I felt at the time when I was struggling with it. And I knew if I was struggling, there must be others out there as well suffering from the same thing as well. So I thought, why not? There's lots of people out there who speak about it, but within the Asian community there isn't. Why? I don't know. Is it because we strive for perfection in life? Is it because as Indians from a young age, we're taught to be the best at everything? So when something like vitiligo happens, is that what makes it really difficult for us? Vitiligo is something that affects 1% of the world's population. But since I've started speaking about it, it seems like someone or the other seems to know someone who's got it. So I believe, in terms of statistics, that's actually incorrect. And I think a lot of it might to do with the fact that there are a lot of people who have it, but they don't choose to come out and speak about it, and they don't want to be seen in public either. In the last 2 months, I've gone out and I've spoken about it in London. I'm sure whoever has read up about me knows that I am from London, but I'm an Indian at heart, hence the reason I'm here today. So if I could just get everyone to turn their phones off, that would be brilliant. Thank you. So just a couple of weeks ago, I've been put forward as the spokesperson for the Vitiligo Society in London, as they've recognised the work that I've been doing. I've been featured on ZTV back in London, on the radio channels, and also in the newspaper there. Last month, I came to India because I had people contact me on Instagram, on social media, telling me about the challenges that people face in India. And I decided to come out here and tell people my story. And it's been very heartbreaking since I've been out here, because I've realized the stigma that's associated with vitiligo and the challenges that people have to face in society over here. In London, I've been very fortunate that since I've come out and I've spoken about vitiligo, I've received nothing but love and affection from people. People who didn't know that I had vitiligo suddenly seem to love me more now. They love me for the person who I am and what I'm doing today. Even in Mumbai, I've been featured in most of the, I'd say, large publications. And coming here today and speaking with a few of you as well, a lot of you seem to want to know how I've transformed from being someone who's lacked self-confidence in the past to being able to get onto stage just a few months ago and have embraced the skin that I'm in. This stand that you see over here, this was from a few months ago. I would never have done that previously. Even standing here in front of you today, I would never have dreamt about speaking about vitiligo in public. I've also got some personal images as well of myself when I was having UV light treatment, and that's over there as well. So where did this all start for me? When I was 11 years old, I developed a small patch of vitiligo, which was around this size. In London, I would say it's the size of 10 pence coin. And in India, I don't know if you still have the 1 rupee here or not, but it would be the equivalent of the size of a 1 rupee over here. That patch that I had remained there. It just stayed the same size, and it was there from my school days, from when I was 11 until after I left university as well. And as it was a small patch behind my neck, at that time I had bob cut hair, so it didn't affect me at that age. The time that it did affect me was when I left university and I was developing my business. I suddenly had an outburst of vitiligo. I had these white patches which suddenly appeared all over my body. Someone who's always been very fashion conscious, who's like to always be in trend with wearing the best whatever it is there is out there. I suddenly started having to cover up. Why did I start covering up? Because I was worried what people would say. And at that time, I started looking for any solution to make me better. I tried to fix myself when I wasn't broken. I went to the best dermatologists, only to be told that there's nothing we can do. They said there's a dermovate cream you can use, which is a steroid cream, but if you use it too much, it can thin your skin as well. And because I didn't like looking at myself at that point, I used the cream for a short period of time, but then I stopped. Because every time I looked at the vitiligo, I hated myself even more. At that point, I went back to my GP again, and they suggested taking a homeopathic medicine. I'm not sure if any of you have tried it, but for me, it didn't work. If anything, it spread even more. And for someone who strives for perfection in life, who believes in work hard, play hard, you can achieve anything possible. When I was faced with something that I couldn't control, I didn't know how to handle it. My escape mechanism was hiding myself away in the bathroom, crying on my own, because that's how I felt. I felt alone. I cried when people weren't looking because I didn't want anyone to see me upset. I've got a very loving, caring family. And even though I tried to hide and not show them that I was upset, they knew I was upset. They're my parents, they're my family. If I'm upset, they're going to know I'm upset. So this whole roller coaster ride that I've been on, they've been part of the journey too. When I was suffering, my sister actually spoke with one of her friends, and they told her about this UV light treatment that was available in Milan. So I went out to Milan and I started having this UV light treatment. I traveled fortnightly every 2 weeks because the treatment started working for me. And I became addicted to this treatment because I saw the results. And for 14 years I continued having that treatment. I went through periods where the vitiligo got better, it got worse. 3 times I was completely healed, and then the marks came back again. The hardest time for me was when I got vitiligo on my hands, which was in March 2016. I had just returned from Dubai, and I was sitting at my aunt's place eating Indian food. And for any of you, well, all being Indians here, you know if you want to enjoy Indian food, the best way to eat it is with your hands. I was sitting there eating Indian food at my aunt's place, and I looked down at my hands, and I suddenly realized, gosh, I've now got vitiligo on my hands. What do? I can't cover up anymore, unless I want to start going out there wearing gloves, which is something that I wasn't willing to do. So whilst I was sitting there eating my food, I was crying internally, but I didn't want to show anyone that I was upset. So I went back home and I cried for hours on end. And And it was at that time that my sister turned around and said to my mum, gosh, do you think it's about time Ninu went and saw someone about this? And I knew what she was saying. At that point, I didn't like my sister very much. I turned around and I said to her, do you think I'm crazy? You think I need help? And it was at that point that I thought, either I take control of the situation now, or Vitiligo is going to take control of me. So I started attending this NLP course with Richard Anler and Paul McKenna. And whilst I was there, I met this guy who was an assistant of part of the NLP team. And he introduced me to a book by Louise Hay called Heal Your Life and the Power is Within You. Louise Hay taught me to love myself as a person. And I'm extremely grateful to her. It's unfortunate that I never got to meet her in person as she passed away last year. So that takes us down to November of 2016, and this is when I decided to go traveling. I went traveling for 6 weeks, and I realized that whilst I was traveling, when I was wearing shorts, string tops, no one noticed the vitiligo apart from me. And then I suddenly realized, why am I covering myself up? Why am I hiding away for? Who am I doing this for? I've been hurting myself, my soul, and I haven't been living the life that God's given me because I've been caring too much about what others will think. So when I returned back from traveling, I decided to move up to London, and this was exactly 1 year ago. And that's when things changed for me. I've always been a sociable, bubbly person, and I didn't want vitiligo to get the worst of me. So living in London, I became more open about the vitiligo. Instead of letting people look at me and think, gosh, she's got vitiligo, when I was meeting people, I'd say to myself, hey, I've got vitiligo, and people don't care. Yes, if people look and stare, it's because it's something new. A lot of the time, people are curious. They don't know what vitiligo is. And it was during that time period that I decided that I wanted to explore my creative side and try something different. Academically, I've done an MBA in business. I have my own real estate in property development as well. And when I moved up to London, this is when my dad said to me, why don't you do a degree in politics? And I thought, gosh, no more degrees. I think I have enough qualifications to my name. So I decided to take up some singing, acting, dancing. And that's when my brother said to me, hey, look, why don't we do a fitness competition together? And he was suggesting to do something the following year. And me being the person that I am, thought, no, there's no time like the present. And I decided to enter a fitness competition. The category I went for was international model. That was one of the outfits that I chose. The second category outfit was actually an Indian attire outfit. I trained 16 weeks for the competition. It was mentally and physically challenging, and I learned a lot about myself during that time period. When you're on a restrictive diet of about 1,000 calories, it tests you. It really pushes you to your limits. But I did that. And within the whole process of health and fitness, I learned a lot about myself as a person. And the day that I stepped on stage, I suddenly set myself free of this hold that vitiligo had of me. When I was there on the day when I was competing, my close family and friends were there. They were really worried. They're like, oh gosh, look at that other fitness model there. You don't want to go and check to see what everyone else is doing? And I said no, because the only person I'm competing against is myself. And that's in any aspect of life. We're all unique, we're all beautiful in our own way, but it's how we choose to look at it. Life's too short We don't know what's going to happen tomorrow. I'm sure you all watched the news this morning, and it was really sad to hear about Sridevi. I only saw her a few weeks ago in the gym when I was at the Marriott Hotel, and I was going to go up to her and speak to her, but she was doing her own training regime in the gym, and I know when someone's training, you don't go up to them. That's their own time. But now I look back at it now and think, gosh, I wish I had gone up to her and said to her, what a beautiful, talented lady she is. We only have one life, and it's up to us how we decide to live it. We either care about what others think, or we choose to take control ourselves. And the reason I'm here today is not to fix anyone. Hence the reason I don't talk about treatments. Throughout those 14 years when I've been having my treatments, I've tried everything. You name it. I've changed my diet, I've been very strict. I've constantly done research on the internet thinking that there's things that I should eliminate from my diet. I started having blood tests done all the time thinking that maybe there's something wrong within my body. And I became so focused on fixing myself that I wasn't enjoying life. Now, in the last 1.5 years, I stopped my treatment in October 2016. And I've learned to accept the skin that I'm in. And what I've found is since I've learned to accept myself and love myself for the person that I am, the vitiligo is actually getting better. Because my focus has changed. I'm no longer looking in the mirror and thinking, I hate that person. I changed my mindset to learn to love myself for the person that I am. And that's the only gift that I can give to everyone, is like, be real and love yourself. Do what makes you happy. I've noticed that it's a lot more challenging in somewhere like India, where there is a stigma attached to it. And it's heartbreaking to know that there are parents out there still whose kids have got it, and they worry about who's going to marry them. And some of them even force their children just to have the treatments, but the kids are ready to accept it. Like I said, I was fortunate. My parents never pressurized me. Those 14 years that I had the treatment, I personally chose that I carry on wanting to have it. They actually said to me, Ninu, you don't need this treatment. But I can understand in India it's probably more challenging. And it was heartbreaking for me when I was informed about the marriage issue in India that there is. How girls are having to compromise and marry guys with disabilities just because they've got vitiligo. The only thing I would say in response to that is, be the best version of yourself. Do you think if there was